This is just a sample of the audiobook. To get the complete audiobook, access the link posted in the first comment.
Nonetheless, it is possible to view the crisis of 1836 to 1848 in a longer-term perspective. We can concede that it was not the first significant economic collapse in American history. An earlier financial panic in 1819 also triggered 3 years of depression, but the consequences of the 1836 to 1848 crisis were likely much more severe. One historian suggested that the Panic of 1837 produced an economic crisis so extreme as to erase all memories of previous financial disorders. Nor was it the country's worst depression, if judged purely by its effect on national income. In this respect, it was exceeded in severity by the Great Depression of the 1930s, and perhaps by the Long Depression of 1873 to 1879. However, the significance of an economic crisis should not be judged by looking at a handful of economic indicators alone. Lepler observes that in the antebellum era, the distinction between the two meanings of depression, a severe slump in economic activity, or a sense of deep dejection, was not always clear. We can see in descriptions of the 1836 to 1848 crisis how tightly the economic and psychological conceptions of depression were intertwined. Americans were confused about why the good times of the 1830s had vanished so suddenly. Some took the fall from prosperity as a just punishment for selfishness and greed. There was broad confusion about what should be done to revive commerce. For many, shattered by 5 years of turmoil and decline, there were doubts about whether anything could be done to relieve the country's distress, and fears, too, about what would happen if the country's course could not be corrected. The 1836 to 1848 crisis did more than demoralize the American people. It was also recognized as a test of the country's nascent democratic institutions. A British envoy to the United States, Lord Ashburton, shared Dickens' dismal view of the American political scene. In May 1842, he confided to the British Foreign Secretary, Lord Aberdeen, that he viewed the United States as a mass of ungovernable and unmanageable anarchy. The Times of London, reflecting the mood of angry British investors, wrote in the same month, "It remains to be seen with what patience and judgment the democracy of America will endure and remedy these self-inflicted evils. But institutions like those which the American people have adopted are especially ill-fitted for a country where the plainest truths of public economy are disdainfully denied by the legislature, and where the most obvious interests of the community are sacrificed to the passions or prejudices of the people."